The kind of intelligence we're talking about doesn't fit neatly into a textbook. No professor gives a lecture on it. Yet, when people sense it, they feel it a subtle shift in the air, a tension in the room. They might smile politely, nod along, but deep down, they know they're in the presence of something they can't quite name. It's not flashy. It doesn't beg for attention. It moves quietly, silently, out of sight, but never out of control. You've witnessed it before. The man who doesn't raise his voice, yet somehow bends the entire room to his will. The woman who nods with polite grace, but her invisible strings pull everyone around her, determining the next move. They don't talk much, but when they do, everything changes, not because they shout, but because their words slice through the air like a blade slipping under armor. This is dark intelligence. And once you understand it, everything you thought you knew about people, power, and even yourself will shift. Because this mind doesn't chase, it positions. It doesn't react, it waits. It doesn't enter battles. It ends them before they even start. Machiavelli didn't admire intelligence for how dazzling it looked. He admired it for its ability to dominate, quietly, invisibly, without the enemy even realizing they've been cornered. If you've ever felt different, not softer, but sharper than, this is for you. When you unlock this, you stop being ordinary. They won't teach you this. Not in school, not in books, not in polite society. Because if people knew how dark intelligence works, they'd fear you before you even acted. The first step is noticing. At first, you're just the quiet one. You watch. You listen. You hear the crack in someone's voice when their story doesn't quite match the facts. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny, not because you find them amusing, but because you're observing who's desperate to be liked. You're not cold yet, but you're on your way. The world around you, a madhouse. People fight over crumbs, defend lies to protect fragile egos. They raise their voices out of fear, pretend to be unshakable when their insides are unraveling. You watch long enough, and you start seeing the code beneath the chaos, the patterns, the blind spots. Here's the first truth you uncover. People are predictable when they think they're safe, and that's when you slip in. Quietly, you start asking questions that aren't really about getting answers, but about finding openings. You give them silence, and they start filling it with the things they wanted to hide. You watch their discomfort turn into confession. Well, they think you're harmless. You're taking inventory piece by piece, without ever asking for it. Dark intelligence doesn't need noise. It thrives in stillness, where others let their guard down. Over time, your mind changes. You stop seeing people for who they want to be. You see them for what they are: utility, weakness, leverage, risk. You can spot the liar before they speak, the insecure before they show off, the traitor before they betray. You're not smarter in the traditional sense. You're simply 5 steps ahead. And that's the turning point. Not when you learn more facts, but when you stop being naive, when you realize truth matters less than perception. That trust isn't a virtue, it's a tool. That most people are lying, not just to you, but to themselves. And if you can shape what people believe, you can shape their choices. This is dark intelligence, not IQ, not charm, not grinding away at endless work. It's control through perception. Your words become deliberate. Every sentence measured, never wasted. You know how to drop a truth that spreads like poison, slow, invisible, irreversible. You stop defending yourself. You stop explaining. You stop reacting to disrespect, not because you're passive, but because you know how to make people regret it without ever confronting them directly. You're no longer bending to the game. You're bending the game to fit your design. You don't show your full hand. You don't share your real goals. You don't tell people when they've hurt you because pain is just more data to you. This is the metamorphosis Machiavelli admired, most the silent. Transformation when a person stops trying to fit into the world as it is and starts reshaping it to match their vision. By the time anyone realizes what you've become, they're already in your net. You no longer need power. You are power. This is how dark intelligence is born. Not in a moment of brilliance, but in thousands of quiet, unnoticed moments of watching, calculating, and building a mind so dangerous it doesn't need to announce itself. This is the new you. The you who doesn't chase, because now everything comes to you, and no one will see it coming. You've crossed a line most people never even notice. You've stopped trying to be liked. You've started listening more than you speak. And now, you're not just intelligent, you're becoming dangerous. What does that really mean? It means you're developing qualities that make people uneasy, traits they can't always name, but instinctively fear. Here are the 5 core traits of the dangerously intelligent. Each one silent, each one lethal. Trait 1, emotional disconnection. The first thing people notice is you're calm. You don't react like they expect. An insult doesn't shake you. Pressure doesn't break you. Why? Because emotion no longer drives your decisions. You haven't buried your feelings. You've reprogrammed them. Your anger becomes analysis. Your sadness becomes strategy. Your fear becomes foresight. You don't suppress emotions. You study them, yours and everyone else's. While others are caught in the storm, you're charting the wind. And the unnerving part, when others panic, you don't. You sit in silence, calculating. That silence isn't emptiness. It's the sound of a blade being sharpened in your mind. Trait 2, surgical observation. You don't just look at people, you dissect them. You notice how their hands move when they're lying, how their tone softens when they want something, how their eyes dart when they're hiding something. You hear the absence of certain words. You feel the tension spike when a hidden truth is near the surface. You don't need a confession. You already know. This makes people uneasy because deep down they can feel that you see them, not the mask they wear, but the vulnerable structure beneath. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that promises are made for the needs of the moment and broken for the needs of the present. You've learned to expect betrayal. You don't fear it. You prepare for it before it arrives. Trait 3, controlled presence. When you walk into a room, you don't need to command attention. It happens anyway. You're not trying to be impressive. You're trying to be unreadable. The dangerously intelligent understand the power of mystery. You show just enough to spark curiosity, but never enough to give away your hand. People fear the unknown, and you give them a taste of it every time they try to figure you out. You've also learned something most people miss. Power doesn't come from being everywhere. It comes from being missed when you're gone. You become rare, and rarity is power. Trait 4, strategic speech. Most people talk to fill space. You talk to plant seeds. Every word has a purpose. Every pause is intentional. You don't try to convince. You guide people to convince themselves. You understand tone and timing. You know that the right silence can be more persuasive than the perfect argument. When you speak, conversations shift in your favor, not through force, but through subtle, almost invisible influence. Trait 5, unshakable self-reliance. This is the trait that breaks most people, but makes you unbreakable. You've stopped depending on praise, recognition, or even understanding. You validate yourself, and that makes you untouchable. Guilt doesn't work on you. Shame doesn't work on you. Obligation doesn't work on you. You've buried the old version of yourself, the one who begged for clarity, loyalty, or affection. Now, you appear when it's strategic and disappear when it's not. You've become a presence people want but can't predict. And nothing is more powerful than a person who needs nothing. These 5 traits change the way people experience you. They can't always explain it, but something about you unsettles them. You've stopped being predictable. You've stopped being easy to read. And without even trying, you've become an anomaly in a world full of noise. But dark intelligence means nothing if you keep it locked away. Power that isn't applied is just potential. So now we move from observation to execution. From sharpening the blade to actually using it. You've built the foundation. You see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. You've cut away the emotional noise that blinds most of the world. Now comes the shift from theory to practice. Because intelligence without execution is just daydreaming. And dark intelligence is worthless if no one feels its weight. The key is this. You operate in plain sight without ever showing your hand. People won't know they're being steered. They'll think they're moving freely. They'll defend the choices you planted in their minds as if they were their own. Here's how it works. Perception is not just how others see you. It's how you choose to be seen. You don't lie recklessly. You curate reality with precision. You give people the details that pull them toward the conclusions you want them to have, and you leave out the rest. Information is a tool, and like any tool, it must be used purposefully. When you show strength, it's not just because you're powerful, but because it benefits you in that moment. Similarly, when you show weakness, it's never a sign of fragility, but a calculated move to lure the right reaction from those around you. By doing this, you learn to become a mirror. You reflect exactly what the other person needs to see in order to act in your favor, while keeping the parts of yourself that matter concealed. The subtle art here is understanding that the image you project is not a reflection of your truth, but rather, it's the perception you wish others to form. By carefully shaping what they see, you gain the ability to direct their decisions and control the flow of interaction. Perception becomes the foundation of your influence. And when you've mastered this, the reality you want others to experience will seem as undeniable as the air they breathe. Great power comes not from telling people what to do, but from planting thoughts deep within their minds. Instead of providing direct answers or commands, you offer fragments, ideas, stories, hypotheticals that compel them to fill in the gaps. The human mind is resistant to being told what to do. It bristles at instructions, but it embraces ownership, and that's the key. When someone believes they've discovered an idea on their own, they defend it more fiercely, hold it tighter, and act on it with greater conviction than if they were simply given it. You understand the power of suggestions just enough to make them feel as though the idea was theirs, even though you were the one who planted the seed. In this way, you guide others to conclusions that align with your interests. The beauty of this strategy is that when the action is taken, they won't even realize that it was you who set the course. It's not about control through force, but through influence, silent, subtle, and almost invisible. You craft the narrative without ever needing to speak the full story. In a world dominated by noise, silence is a weapon more powerful than words. Most people crumble in silence. They rush to fill the gap, eager to break the tension. They spill more than they intended, revealing things they weren't ready to share. Silence has a strange effect on people. It's misinterpreted as judgment, disappointment, or disinterest. In response, they start working to fix it, to fill in the blanks, to make the silence more comfortable for themselves. You understand that silence doesn't just create space, it creates imbalance. And imbalance is the key to shaping the behavior of others. By allowing them to sit in that discomfort, they reveal pieces of themselves they would otherwise keep hidden. You don't rush to comfort them. You don't try to smooth things over. Instead, you let the silence stretch just long enough until they're forced to act or confess. It's in this stillness that they show their true selves. Silence doesn't just give you information. It creates an opportunity for power. It makes people malleable. In moments of silence, you are sharpening your blade, gathering data, and positioning yourself with an advantage that words alone could never provide. You are not just one person. You are many, each version of yourself tailored to the specific moment, need, or person you are interacting with. Different people see different sides of you because you show only what benefits you in that exact moment. To one person, you are warm, open, and trusting. To another, you are distant, guarded, and difficult to read. To some, you're an ally, someone they can confide in. To others, you're a mystery, someone who remains just out of reach, never fully understood. No one ever sees the whole picture, and that's the point. The more fragmented your persona, the harder it is for anyone to predict you. If people can't fully define you, they can't control you. The less they know, the more power you have. When they think they have figured you out, they've already made the mistake of underestimating you. Your unpredictability becomes your greatest asset. By keeping parts of yourself hidden, you deny people the ability to pinpoint your weaknesses. They can never know your true intentions. You become a force that operates in the shadows of their minds, a puzzle they can't solve, a book they can't read. This is not deception, this is strategy. The less they know, the more you can maneuver in ways they'll never see coming. The dangerously intelligent understand the art of leverage. Why burn your own energy when others can do the heavy lifting for you? Instead of pushing for control, you create situations where others will act in ways that serve your needs. You set the stage, frame the situation, and then step back, allowing others to move the pieces for you. They think they're acting of their own volition, but in reality, you've created the incentives for them to align their actions with your goals. This strategy is about indirect control. By framing the circumstances, You can ensure that the decisions others make will inevitably work in your favor. You watch as they carry the weight of the work, make the noise, and take the heat, while you remain untouchable. The best part is that when the dust settles, you're in a better position than before, with no effort expended on your part. Others will have fought your battles, done the work, and all you have to do is step in at the right moment and take advantage of the aftermath. You know how to use the strength of others as your own. It's about positioning, allowing others to play the game while you stay in the background, controlling the narrative without ever stepping into the spotlight. Applying dark intelligence isn't about constant manipulation. It's about precision. A single well-placed move can be more powerful than 100 impulsive actions. You're not looking to win every battle. You're positioning yourself so you can't lose the war. By now, you've stopped chasing control. You are control. And that's when the rules change. Because once you master this, you're no longer reacting to the world. The world is reacting to you. Power is never random. It follows rules most people don't see. And the few who do don't talk about them. The dangerously intelligent understand these rules are not about fairness or morality. They're about leverage, positioning, and perception. If you ignore them, you'll always be a piece on someone else's board. If you master them, you become the board.